I feel like there's a lot of fierce competition at this meet. There's a lot of customers. Before their meet, I was thinking to myself, I want to go at 36 in this 50. And by the end of the season, I would like to go at 35. In college league meets are definitely more intense. The practices can get more intense. Being in a wheelchair hasn't really, there hasn't been a point in my life where it's like, okay, I'm in a wheelchair. It's always been a part of my life, so it's never really been like, there's never been a moment that's hit me that's like, there it is, like, I've always tried to do stuff that other people like, do, other things that I can't do, and I'll try to make it work as best as I can. I feel like I've been treated the same. I've always kind of treated it, my disability, as like, I kind of joke around with it sometimes, and I guess my family does too, and even my teammates here have started to, like, once they've gotten to know me, they've joked around, so I've just kind of always taken it lightly, like it's not really a big deal, so I just kind of joke around with it. I mean, there's always been stuff that I can't physically do just because of the wheelchair, but not being able to walk, but just figure something else out.
Like once I started to like last year one time, like when I realized he was going to go to college next year, I knew I was going to miss him a lot. So that kind of like made me appreciate him more as the year went on, especially during the summer when we were spending like every day with each other, because we'd go to swim 2 times a day with each other, and then we'd usually spend the rest of the time in my room playing video games or outside.
He just kind of accepts things and goes with the flow. You know, I know in PE class, the PE teachers were always worried, oh, what are we going to do with him when other kids do this? And I would say to him, you don't have to worry about it. You say what you want the other kids to do, and he'll adapt it and make it work for him. And he always has, and by the end of his high school, even beginning of high school, they stopped having adaptive PE teachers for him because he didn't need them. The teacher would say, do this, and if he couldn't do it, he'd modify it, and he just went with it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see campus life in a wheelchair as a struggle. I mean, I've always made things work, so if something doesn't work, I'll figure it out and make that work.
So the night he was born, we found out I was supposed to have I ended up needing to have a cesarean section because he hadn't flipped, which now we know why he didn't flip, because how do you flip without legs? When they pulled him out, they saw, it's called a myelomeningocele on his back. So basically the spinal cord was coming out of his back and it was in a little sack. They rushed him over to a hospital in Peoria. And that was really hard because Trevor, you know, I saw this baby for a couple minutes, and then they take him to Peoria, and I'm stuck in Bloomington because I just had the C-section. So that was hard because I don't think I saw him again until he was 4 days old, until I could be released from the hospital.
So I have spina bifida, so it's a birth defect where my spinal cord was sticking out of my back when I was born. So on my back, I've had a couple surgeries to help repair it. So I'm also missing a part of my spine. I can't remember exactly which part, like another certain part, but I don't think it's rare. There's just different levels of spina bifida, and mine's not extremely severe, but it's not like, it's like kind of in the middle-ish. Like there's people that can walk with spina bifida, and it's not really noticeable. I guess mine's a little bit more severe, I guess, if you want to call it that. So,
but it was a hard time. But we had wonderful people that gave us advice and just said, when we said, we just bought this house with stairs, and they're like, what are you worried about stairs for? He's a baby. You're going to carry him up the stairs. And we were like, but what about? And they're like, why are you worried about this? It was that whole take one day at a time concept. And we've always kind of revert back to that. Anytime something happens, we go, okay, we're not going to worry about 6 months from now. We're going to take it one day at a time and get through this hurdle before we worry about the next one. And they were right. Things kind of worked themselves out. And so he would start at the top of the stairs when he was little, because of course he couldn't go down them. And he would head first go down the stairs on his hands like this, really fast, dragging in his, and it was the scary, you were like,
So he's 4 years older than me. And we usually did like once especially when he started driving, we did everything together. So we went to swim practice together. We went out to eat. We played video games. We watched football downstairs, or anywhere really. He would always take me places, and I was always begging him to go somewhere, especially for food. Sometimes I would have to pay him to get me to go somewhere.
I feel like once people get to know me, they know I can do most things, and if I can't, then I'll try to figure out something else. I get pizza today. When I was younger, some kids would, little kids when I was younger, they'd take my wheelchair if I was at dinner. They'd take it around the restaurant and ride around it. So that was the only thing that was different, I guess. Other than that, that was kind of funny, actually. It didn't really bother me.
He's one of the kindest, most caring people I've ever met. He has the best disposition of anyone I've ever met. The way he's able to face the challenges he comes across, they're not even a challenge, I'm just going to do it.
First semester at Olivet Nazarene, it was challenging. We went to orientation early June, I think we were there. And I had left to go to another swim meet with Tyson in Indiana. So I just get to Indiana and the phone rings. And in some respects, the campus is not, from the housing situation to buildings, and of course the Perry Center's fine, but there's a couple other older things on campus. Trevor just handles it, and he was fine. He never wavered once. Others were wavering, meaning what the heck are we gonna do? But he never wavered once.
The only real difference is one of the buildings here, I have to take 2 elevators to another classroom. So that's kind of a pain, I guess, just with these 2 elevators. But other than that, I got around the campus fine. The dorm room has been fine.
He's very sports oriented, like snow skiing. He would love to snow ski. And there are ways to do it, but you almost have to go to Colorado.
The one time that really bothered me about being in the wheelchair over this, I think it was last summer. We were on vacation. We went to this huge obstacle course, and I couldn't do it just because I couldn't walk and go through the obstacle course. So that was kind of like.
He wanted on that thing so bad. This was just last summer. Oh, and all the other kids were doing it, and legally the place wouldn't let him on it. And he was so frustrated because he knows he can do it.
That wasn't fun. I'd sit there and watch all my family and cousins do it and have a lot of fun. I just sat there and watched them, so that was kind of like, okay, that stinks, but other than that, it's been fine.
I think I've seen him get mad at me once. I don't know what it was about.
So we went to Overweiss one time, and I got his order wrong, and then he got really mad at me, and it was really funny because he was the one paying for it. So then he almost made me go back in and get it right.
I just like hanging out with friends. I really like hanging out with the swim team, going at practice, and then after practice we all go to dinner together and eat dinner. So that's really cool. So we get to know each other better. So just hanging out with friends and teammates.
I don't remember when it was. At some point, he got on the Paralympic circuit, and then he qualified for the Can-Am Games, Canadian American Games, and actually won the 800 free up in Toronto. And along the way, he'd also achieved his Paralympic trial cuts. Obviously, the next step is to get to the Paralympic Games, which are just after the regular games, in the same city, about 2 weeks after.
He would always be because I would always want to give up, and then he would always say you can't give up, because you have to get better. And if you don't get better, you're not going to go anywhere, and then you're just wasting your time.
So I wake up at 5:30 and then head straight over to the pool, and then I'm swimming by 6 o'clock. So I can get out from 8 a.m. class. I practice, we have doubles Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. We practice from 6 to 7:15 in the morning and then 3 to 5:30 at night. And on Saturdays, we usually practice in the morning for an hour and a half to 2 hours, depending on the set coach gives us. I really enjoy doing it, so it's not really a burden on my life. I feel like that's part of who I am, so.
I met Trevor probably at our first swim meeting. I had heard about him from one of his parents' friends, and I heard that he was kind of interested in swimming here. So I kind of heard about him and then met him when he came in the first couple days of school. I love the team. I've loved getting to know the different kinds of people on the team, and they're not necessarily people who I would have met outside of swimming.
My whole swimming career, my club team, there's no paraplegic swimmers at all, so I've been swimming with able-bodied swimmers my entire life, so it's not really different for me. I just get in, practice with the team, do whatever they're doing, and do as best as I can.
Trevor, when I first met Trevor, I realized how down-to-earth he is and how genuine of a person he is. He's one of the nicest people I've ever met, not only here, but in my entire life. And then also in the water, he's the hardest worker. In the weight room, in the water. And he never complains, which he has every right to complain, but never have I ever heard him say one negative word about a practice or about a day or anything.
I really enjoy doing it, so it's always fun to practice and then see your times in practice, and you're like, okay, I swim really fast, and I'm excited to swim and to meet. Basically the point of the swim meet is you go, you swim, and you try to get best times so you can eventually make a national cut or whatever type of cut you're trying to make. So state cut, nationals, really whatever cut, so you can swim your fastest time. I love the atmosphere. I love when you're behind the block and your teammates are all cheering for you, and you're in the water and you can look to the side and you see them all cheering you on. I think that's really cool. Just you're hearing your teammates cheering for you and you're cheering for them and you seeing them get a best time, or you getting a best time, just kind of all that. In college, the meets are definitely more intense. The practices can get more intense. Like in high school, we didn't do a ton of dry land. Here, I'm doing a lot of dry land, so I'm doing a lot of running, all that kind of different exercises. So it's definitely more intense. Yeah, I think so. I think you can hear fans cheering for you and teammates cheering for you. I think that really gets you excited and pumped up for the race. I feel like there's a lot of fierce competition at this meet. There's a lot of fast swimmers. Yeah, I mean, I think we've always pushed each other in practice, and they've really cheered me on. And really, everyone really has. So. I would like to say maybe in the 36 lows.
In the water, he's the hardest worker, and he never complains. Never have I ever heard him say one negative word about a practice or about a day or anything.
Bring him in, put him in the pool, we'll watch him swim, and I'll decide whether he can be on a swim team or not. So we did, and that was it.
I was very happy with how I swam today. Before my meet, I was thinking to myself, I want to go to 36 in this 50, and I ended up going a 36.13, so I was very happy with how that went. 36.13 is my best time for a 50-yard freestyle.